Okay. Satnam, aloha, and looks like I'm live, but I just want to double check. There I am. Okay. Satnam, aloha, everyone. Welcome to the full moon thing here. And I apologize, I missed a week. I was deep in a funk. I don't know about you guys this week. It's been really tough. It was really tough for me. And I was actually feeling depressed. I haven't felt like that kind of depression since I was in my 20s. It was really, when you're in your 20s and your 20s are about experimenting and trying on identities and having experiences and to see what works for you and what doesn't work. That's what it felt like that this week for me. So I feel like with the full moon, there was a big shift in energy for me. So I'm back. Plus, I did the spiritual warrior Kriya, so that always helps. Yeah, it's crazy week. Classic Girl says, I'm blessed, just gone on Facebook, and you popped up. Okay, great. That's awesome. Okay, so let's talk about this full moon. So I'm sure that you're feeling it, right? It's very, it's on the Taurus Scorpio cusp, so it's very emotional, right? Okay, so this energy lasts for 3 days. And remember, the new moon was all about orientation. That was the gift of getting oriented. And now we're letting go of compromise. That's the shadow, is the shadow of compromise with the moon. So first of all, I just want to put my 2 cents in about this ridiculousness that's going on in the U.S., right? In Alabama, this attempt to control women's bodies and to enforce a pregnancy by, you guessed it, 25 white men. So I know it's easy. It can be easy for the mind to go into panic mode, and it's, oh my God, we're regressing. We're going back to the 1950s. The Handmaid's Tale. It's all going to come true. So you just want to stop all that noise in the mind right now because it's being fueled by fear. And just to know, and you know this in your bones, right? I'm not telling you anything you don't know already, that evolution does not go backwards. It's impossible. Even if it seems to. Even if it seems like we're going backwards, it's not. It's impossible. Evolution is moving forward. It's expanding always. So this is just the old consciousness of the patriarchy that's grasping onto anything to stay alive. An attempt to go back to the good old days, right? Where white privileged men are in power and everyone else stays on the bottom of the food chain, right? And I think of this sometimes about it's a waste of time and energy. Imagine trying to rule the world like you're in your, in your little home and I'm going to rule the world and I'm going to do all these nasty things and I'm going to control people, right? And I'm so interested in what other people are doing in the privacy of their own homes. It just makes me tired, right? Just to think about it, right? It's so much work, right? It's difficult enough to try to control your own self, let alone like the masses, So anyway, I'm trying to let you know to have a little bit of a sense of humor about it and a levity, right? This is all part of our play that we're in, right? That we're in as we enter into the Aquarian age. So all this darkness of our human history, because it has to be exposed so that we can integrate it into the light. So the darkness seems to have a power, but it's all an illusion. So imagine a snake, a big python snake is living in your house, right? And he starts to leave. And its head and 2/3 of his body are out in the backyard. but 1/3 is still in the living room. Like 1/3 of his tail part still in the living room. This is the old consciousness that's moving off the planet, but there's still this 1/3, right? So I hope you're understanding what I'm saying. That's what we're seeing. So don't give it too much power, this old consciousness, but also don't go belly up too. Like really listen to your soul if you're called to go and to because it's waking people up, right? To go with your placard or go and and protest, then listen to that, right? But it's unique to you. So the full moon is the culmination point. It's a time of flicking on the lights, right? The lights are flicking on. And some of these shadows that are preventing you from being your authentic self will be seen. So the sun is in the sun, right? Because it's the full moon is always in opposition of the sun and the moon. So the sun is in the programming partner of this compromise. It's the 8th gene key. And it's the shadow of mediocrity and the gift of exquisiteness. So this is all about being your authentic self, this 8. Okay? So the moon is in Scorpio, and the shadow pattern is compromise, and the gift is bounteousness. So this is a prosperity gene key. And these two I know very, very well because they're in prominent positions for me. I have the 8 in my sun position, and then the 14 is in my earth position, right? And so both of these are conscious. So I know these two really, really well. So I just wanted to read a Yogi Bhajan quote that you don't see around much. I used to get those, remember those, the Yogi Bhajan daily calendars? And this one I remember I ripped out as soon as I saw this. And he talks about individuality. So he's like, okay, so what can there be? Okay, what individuality can there be if you do not know you? Individuality without you is just difference. Individuality with you is uniqueness. So individuality without you is just difference, and individuality with you is uniqueness. So that's Yogi Bhajan. So what he's talking about here is the you within you. Okay? So the shadow of mediocrity, that 8th gene key, right? It's all about fitting in. But it's also the shadow of mediocrity is being different. So that's when you're ruled by the ego. So you must know these people who pride themselves on, I'm a rebel, right? I'm a rebel. Because they go to Burning Man Festival once a year, or they go to a transformational festival, right? A couple times a year. Look, I'm a rebel. But I'm with all these other people who dress like me, who think like me, that talk like me, behave like me, right? A true rebel walks alone. And there's no clubs and no organizations and no cliques for a true rebel. So that's an example of how the shadow of mediocrity can work. Like you can fool yourself in thinking, oh, I'm not mediocre, right? I have an alternative lifestyle. I'm with these other so-called rebels. And it's not, right? It's another clique. It's another group. So when you're under the ego, right, you aren't unique, right? You're just different, right? You're just different. This is what he's talking about. So mediocrity is a reaction to the status quo, right? So everybody has blonde hair. That's the trend. That's the fashion right now. So I'm going to dye my hair black and cut it. Am I unique? No, because I'm reacting to the status quo. That's what the ego does, reacts. Because I still care about what other people think of me. Right? This is the big part of the shadow of mediocrity, is doing things, making compromises so that you can fit in, right? Because you care about what that other person's opinion is of you. Okay, so I'm just different. When you're like that, it's like I'm just different and there's no power there. So now your uniqueness is something that's much more unusual and comes from your soul. Your uniqueness comes from your soul. And we each are unique, right? There's 7 billion people on the planet. There's only one you. And you can't be replicated or cloned. You're a limited edition of one. And the Aquarian age demands that we become this unique self, right? Right? Everything else that's not you is being stripped away from you. Right? So if you didn't get into that university program, or you didn't get that job, be yelling Waheguru in the streets, right? Because, that's because it's not me, it's not aligned with me, that's why it's not coming. That person that I yearn for, that perfect partner, right? It's not coming because they're not aligned with you, right? So you want to celebrate. Like, have that attitude of celebrate. Of course, grieve, right? Because sometimes it can be sad, right? But also celebrate. Like, this isn't for me, and that means something better's coming for me. That's more aligned with who I am. And have you had that experience where you've, like in hindsight, you look back and like, thank God I didn't get with that person. That would have been a nightmare, that relationship. Or thank God I didn't get that job. Or thank God I didn't move to that other place. It would have been a total nightmare. It was a blessing. Like, what is it? Man's rejection is God's protection, I'm sure everybody's had that experience listening. And so back to uniqueness in humans. Like, I like going, when I go out hunting and gathering, I call it, to going to Costco and Whole Foods Market and all the organic stores here. I always make a point to slow down and connect with people, right? So as I've done this over the years, I've realized that many people that I've met, they're not normal, right? They're these little freaks pretending to be normal, right? Everybody. And you scratch, like little grandmas, right? You just scratch the surface a little and the freak is there. It's not too far underneath the surface, right? What the interests are and the little quinkadinks people have and things like that. So we have to be okay, right? To wave our freak flag high, because we're all freaks, right? But it's all hidden underneath this conditioning and the masks and needing to fit in and all the ego games, right? It's all underneath that. So let's look at the programming partner, which is the 14, compromise. Okay, it's compromise in the gift of bounteousness, so prosperity. So there's lots to talk about here, but I want to focus just on a few points for you to know. So this is the full moon, right? This is what's being illuminated and eliminated, right? Well, all those areas where you make compromises. So one element of prosperity is measured by your radiance, our radiance. So how much light are you allowing to come through your physical form, right? Because it's all light, like everything is light, right? They say that light, the speed of light, right, travels at this speed. The light doesn't travel. It's just always here. Light is here, but it's hidden away in the density of matter. And it's actually hidden in our DNA. It's hidden within our body, this hidden light. And so this is what's bursting through now for the Aquarian age, right? This hidden light is going to start releasing from our bodies, right? It's happening already, but we need to transmute these shadow patterns, right? The shadow is lifting. That's why we're seeing all this craziness in the world. So prosperity is measured by your radiance, how much light you're allowing to come through your physical form. So the light radiance is really your soul, okay? And that magnetizes to you everything that you need. This is a material gene key, right? The 14. So magnetizes everything that you need. It's not your ego and your strategy and, it's because I did this and that. It's like, no, none of that. It's your soul that's bringing everything to you. So imagine that you're a big bucket of light, like you're a big bucket, okay? You're a big bucket of light, and you look closer and you see all these holes in the bucket when you look closer. And maybe there's one big one and about 22 little tiny pinpoint ones, right? And the big one, the big leak of light, you will know. You'll be conscious of it. Maybe it's an addiction, right? Maybe to a substance or a person that's toxic, that's been with you. Maybe it's an addiction to negative thinking. being around negative people, right? And you know this is a big leak for you, but you can't seem to let go of it. You can't seem to shake it. Okay, so you know that one. But there's the little insidious ones, and those are all those little holes, and those are trickier. And this is the shadow of compromise. And it's all those little compromises we make in our life, right? They leak our radiance and they affect our prosperity in a negative way, right? Because we don't have that oomph to attract what we need to us, right? That's aligned with our purpose. Because really that's when we're totally on fire, right? Is when we're living our dharma and living our purpose, living from our soul. So how do we compromise? Here's a few things how we compromise. So talking ourselves out of our feelings, right? Feeling like, you know what, this relationship is stagnant. It's been stagnant for years. I'm not growing. I'm not evolving. Either is that other person. We're just together out of convenience, right? And then the shadow kicks in. So those feelings are coming up. Those thoughts are coming up. And then the shadow pattern kicks in and says, well, you know, they're not that bad. And, you know, I'm comfortable. It's been 7 years. We have things together. We bought things together. We have a shared mortgage or even children or whatever. We have this history together, right? So these are the little ways that we can compromise our authentic self, right? And this is talking yourself out of your feelings. Remember, it's the solar plexus mutation. That's really our power now, is to start listening to those emotions that are coming through and not to judge them. Like, oh, I don't want to be, I'm a spiritual person. I'm not supposed to be angry. I'm not supposed to be enraged. It's a message. Those emotions are a message, but there's a deeper truth underneath the rage. When we keep talking ourselves out of our feelings, talk, it's the volcano. It's like inside you. It's like, and then one day it just like blows out of something that's completely insignificant, where it's like the last straw, right? The blow up. This is what we're learning, to be more subtle, right? When you're more subtle, then you're getting the little tiny messages like, I don't feel right. I don't feel right in this relationship. You don't need to know any of the reasons. All you need to do is acknowledge, it doesn't feel right. There's something off. That's all you have to do. And then the wisdom will come later. Okay? And then that's why, right? So this time's about honoring your solar plexus and what's coming through. This is how your soul is communicating to you. So we can also do this compromise thing with our work, because this is the 14th gene key is really about our work too, and the work that we do. We can make compromises for a paycheck. I think everybody knows that one. For financial or emotional security. So remember, we're in the Taurus Scorpio axis, right? Scorpio full moon, and then the sun is in Taurus. And Taurus is all about the material stability, right? I want to feel secure, but I want to have things around me. I want that paycheck coming in every 2 weeks. I need this, I need that, right, to feel secure. And then Scorpio is the emotional security. I need those certain people that I really, bond with around me, or my child or my parent, or those close people around me, the emotional security. So what we're letting go of with this full moon is anything that's no longer serving our authentic self, because our ego has tricked us that we need these things. We need that person, or we need that job. We need, right? And now this full moon is like, no, this isn't aligned with you anymore. You got to keep growing. You got to keep climbing that mountain. So the biggest thing in my experience, in my own self, in my own life, and watching people, is as humans, we have this longing to belong, that longing to belong somewhere. And you feel this, like wanting to be with your tribe, your soul tribe, or your group, your soul cluster, like longing for that. It's a longing inside of us. And so what happens is that many people make compromises in order to fit in to a group, like any group. Some people they're terrified to be alone. They don't want to be that community of one. They don't want to be that rebel, that true rebel. But even to have people around you that don't even understand you or that you don't really relate to at all, some people will compromise just to have those people around them. And to me, it's like you feel even more alone, right? You're more alienated from yourself when you're with the wrong crowds. But this is this shadow, right? So people making compromises in order to fit in, like compromising their true values, like looking away. You must know that one too. Oh, that person didn't really mean to say that, or they didn't really mean to do that. Making excuses for people, not wanting to see the truth, right? So it's really interesting times that we're in right now because we're moving into operating as one human collective. I know that sounds so far-fetched, for the Aquarian age, but that's where we're coming to, is this working at realizing that we're all one and we're all connected, and then working as a collective. Not just like an American or I'm an English person or I'm a Canadian. It's like collective. You're a human, you're part of the human collective. That's what we're moving towards for the Aquarian age. And then at the same time, we're being called to become our authentic self. So this is the paradox. It's one of the many paradoxes of the Aquarian age. Working together in a group and at the same time being our authentic self. And they seem to be directly opposed, don't they? But this is our job to do. We have to merge these two parts of ourselves. The collective you, right? The collective you, which is really your authentic self. Right? Because there's a self-organizing principle that's organizing all of us in this collective. But it only works when we're our authentic self, and that means not ruled by our ego. So you may ask, making compromises is good, right? It's what you have to do in order to be in relationships with people. We've been taught that, right? You can't be selfish. Can't be all about you, right? There's a give and take. How can we avoid compromises, right? But that's something different, right? The give and take with living with people and things like that. This is not like going at your radiance. It's not going at your soul, Little tiny things like, oh, this person, or my roommate likes to go to sleep early and I like to stay up late at night. So I make a compromise and I'm quiet, right, at nighttime so my roommate can sleep. Like little things like that, right? That's not niggling at your soul. It's not like creating a hole in your soul. So this is something completely different, right? The shadow of compromise. And this is the 14th gene key is also about your self-worth and your self-esteem. So if you're a doormat or a banana spine, right, where you can't stand up for yourself, this shadow of compromise will keep you small with all of those leaks because you don't have your power, your full power. So where's your light leak? Where's your light leaking in your life? And the full moon is going to show you where, right? And the other side of this is bounteousness. And that's your radiance, right? Attracting everything that you need. So the shadow of compromise also tells you that you're lacking something in your life, right? So the turtle, you can see him behind here, right, turtle. The turtle is the power animal for the 14th gene key. And turtles tell us that we have everything that we need inside of us, right? And your true resources are inside you. Right? We haven't been taught this at all. It's all about, the resources are out here and we got to try to fit in, right? To get those resources, we got to go and get. But your true resources are all inside you. And these are your talents and your skills that come naturally to you, that were given to you before you incarnated, right? And did you know that the ancient word for currency, or money, was called talents? They used to call it talents. So interesting, isn't it? Our talents is our true currency, and that comes from inside of us. So turtle teaches us to take your time, right? There's no Speedy Gonzales turtle. There's no rush. And turtle reminds me of like in the animal world, like their RV. They always have an RV with them, right? Their shell. And they can retreat and go back. They always kind of have that protection. And I remember I lived in an RV for a year in 2012. And I remember I missed a ferry once, right? By only one vehicle. And I had to turn back, and the other people in the line were angry and stressed out. I noticed that they're angry and stressed out. And I just thought, I said, it doesn't really matter to me because I would be in this RV anyway if I were on the ferry or here, right? So I just chilled, right? I had a cold drink and a nap. So that's like the you within you. You have your own RV, right? Your body. So the you within you that just observes this movie called life. And wherever you go, there you are. And I forget it, that's a book, right? Somebody wrote that, but I love that. Wherever you go, there you are. So the movie changes, the movie reel changes, and you got different people coming into your movie, and maybe you got a different scenery, like I've got different scenery now in my movie. But you never change. The you within you never change. You're just sitting back watching the movie, right, as the observer. So that's I feel like Turtle teaches us that too. So the takeaway here is to listen to your intuition where you're compromising. Okay, where you're compromising in your life to your detriment, where it's hurting you, where it's leaking your energy. And if you're unable to listen to your intuition, maybe your mind is too busy and noisy and won't let you listen to that subtle that's voice, that's very soft, your intuitive voice, then simply send out a prayer, right? Show me today clearly. You got to remember, we've got all these divine beings and your ancestors, like an army beyond this veil. But you have to ask them. You have to request support, right? So ask them, right? Show me clearly where I'm compromising and leaking my energy. Show me so I have no doubt in my mind, and then it will be shown to you, okay? And then you can start plugging up these holes, right? So that means just shifting your perspective, okay? How you perceive what's going on, and then never go into victim, right? Because the shadow wants you in the victim. I've got to compromise. You don't understand. I have a job. How am I going to, right? You got to be so committed to not go there, not go into fear, not go into victim. Okay? And it's just like, okay, I'm not doing this anymore. I'm not leaking my energy. I'm not saying these things or doing these things so I can fit in, right? Or staying here because of someone's opinion of me or whatever, right? It will be unique to you where it is. But 9 times out of 10, it always has to do with our relationships. Our relationships show us, right, where that shadow is playing in our life. So a good Kundalini yoga practice for you to do, and I did this one this morning, which is funny. I didn't plan it, my intuition. Sometimes I get up, if I'm not doing a 40-day or 120-day or whatever, I'll just like, okay, what's my intuition want me to do? And then this morning it was the spiritual warrior class. So this strengthens your third chakra because the shadow weakens your third chakra and your solar plexus. And it gives you the strength and the radiance to stand up for yourself and to believe in yourself. So I think I talked about this before in another video about the Kundalini yoga teacher in Vancouver who was in an abusive relationship and she couldn't leave. Try as she might, she would leave a little bit and she'd go back. She'd always go back to this abusive relationship. Anyway, she practiced this Kriya for 40 days and she finally left him for good, right? And this gave her the strength. So this Kriya is on my website. And so a few announcements that I have is I'm going to put off my prosperity program until the fall. And so one of my main gifts is farsightedness. And this is about identifying patterns in the future. And I feel like I need the time and the space to explore the information that's coming to me and to experiment the teachings on myself, because I'm my first student, right? So I'll let you know more about this program as we come closer, right? It's probably be September, most likely be September. But meanwhile, to keep the tofu bacon coming in for me, I'm going to do readings with people. So I haven't done readings with people in a long time. And because the information is so vast now that I have, I'm going to ask people to get specific with what they need help with. And then I can bring in the chart, right, to address these challenges, right? Where are your pitfalls natally? Where's your shadow? Oh, yeah, I've got to look out for that and that and that. And what are the transits you're moving through? Oh, that adds another flavor. And what are your gifts and talents that you can draw upon, right? That you can use to move through your challenges with grace, right? Plus sadhana video. So my life's work is to assist people to transition into their authentic self through great change, because it's always with great change, but with ease, right? So that's one of my main things that I'm here to do. So I'm going to have that on my website this week on shadowastrology.com. And I was really hoping, I ordered an astrological wheel, but it hasn't arrived yet. And this will give you, I can't wait to show you this, because this is going to give you a visual of how the chart works. And then I can get more focused in how it affects you, right? How these shadow transit affects you personally, right? So next time, make sure that you have your sun and your moon and your rising sign, and then I can go through each one. So I'm looking forward to that. Okay. And I just want to see what anybody's writing here. Okay. Crazy week, she said. Yeah, me too. Yesterday, Australia has just had the federal election. Can't believe Liberal has been voted back in for now. Yeah. This is over. Well, yeah. Okay, so Kelly Louise Dixon, you got to listen to my words, right? To remember, right? Remember, you got to see beyond the Maya. We can't get tricked into this, right? This is the illusion. This is the snake that's leaving the house, you know? And climate change is all about this play that we're in. We're unfolding back to our true identity. We're coming back to our the central sun. That's what we're traveling towards. Okay, and we're coming back to our true nature. We're coming out of the darkness of the Kali Yuga and coming into the Sat Yuga. This is a very exciting time, and climate change is all part of this. Because remember, the sun plays a big major part, and the ancients talked about this, all the solar activity that we would see. And Yogi Bhajan talked about this too. Lots of traditions talked about this, but the scientists aren't really talking about the sun. And that's what my sense is what's going on. And it's like a fever, right? The earth is having a fever, right? The earth is going through her purification too. So don't get too trapped into that thinking. But I also love, on one level, we need the way humans, right? The way humans work. We're not good with change, right? It's that animal part of ourselves. We're not good with change, and we got to go kicking and screaming, right, to become this one collective. And so we need a common enemy, and our common enemy right now is climate change, right? So I feel like this is what's going to bring us all together, right, as one, and that we work towards this. And good things are going to come out of this, right? If you read about the Green New Deal and stuff. To me, when I heard about that, it's like, oh, this is so the Aquarian age, you know? And that's also part of this gene key. It's like believing in yourself. Hey, I got what it takes. I don't lack anything. It's in me, right? I'm on fire. I'm moving forward towards my Dharma. Yeah. Okay. Very true. Blah, blah, blah. Very true. False, right? I get it. Happy full moon. Okay, any other questions? Yeah. Mako Deo says, truly feeling and experiencing all you're speaking on. Thank you. Awesome to catch you live. Yeah. Well, I'm going through my own transition too with this new space and stuff, but I was really feeling like I want to. One of my major gifts is commitment, right? So committing to picking a day where I'm going to do my live streams. I like doing the live streams more than just a regular old video because then I get the interaction. So hopefully Saturdays may work and then my newsletter out on Sunday. We'll see. Okay. Oh, do you have an RV? Mac O'Dow has an RV. I want one of the manifestations I have in mind is eco-friendly RV, and they're coming. Like Tesla is actually working on a eco-friendly RV. Okay, so you're obviously follow me on YouTube, so that's cool. And then Instagram and Facebook, I'm on there too. And I'm slowly getting my shadow astrology website going, and the Callous Yogi one isn't fully forwarding yet. So anyway, there's all these technical things I don't want to bore you with. Okay. Okay. Okay, everybody. So have a great week and leave your comments below, too, for the people that are going to watch this later. And I'll see you next week. No more compromises. That's your mantra. I'm gotta be me. Gotta be me. Okay. So, Nam Aloha. 37 minutes.